what we want to talk about tonight is we want to really kind of continue on in the theme that we're going to be talking about for the next 30 days. And uh, we introduced the topic of getting 1,000 true fans, and that is something that you and I can really we can build our business around. We can really, it's a way of really conceptualizing and seeing what it is that really it takes to sustain an information marketing business. All of us, to some degree, do some creative work. And a lot of this you will see, as I pointed to the last time in the last call, in the article from Kevin Kelly. If you go over there to kk.org and you look for the article on 1,000 True Fans, you can take a look at that article, and I think it'll really be something that'll be helpful to you in terms of understanding kind of where we're coming from. And we are going to build on that from two perspectives. We're going to build on that from the perspective of your position as an internet or an information marketer, as well as how you're going to be able to use your private label rights or PLR content in order to do that. Okay, so once again, if you have any questions about that, please feel free to write it there in the box. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and get started. Now, what you're going to need in everything we do in internet marketing, right? You and I need a unique space in the marketplace, providing something that people want, right? So we can be unique in the marketplace, but as long as we are providing something that people want, we are going to be looking to not only make profit, but we're also going to be able to start to understand customers and what it is they're looking for and what it is they want and what it is they need. So we have to be looking for that unique space in the marketplace, providing something that people want, something that they've got to come to us to get. So we don't want to make it so that people have to, people can get it anywhere, right? And so one of the things, we're going to talk about, even as we use PLR, is even as you customize it, you want to make sure that people have to come to you to get your particular kind of PLR. They have to come to you to get your particular kind of product. They come to you to have to get your particular way of looking at things. If they can't do that, then what you and I become is a commodity, and that's not what we want to do, especially in internet marketing, because information is getting to be to the point where you really are going to have to provide something unique in order for you to ask for a premium price. Okay, and so we want to have that unique space in the marketplace so that we're providing something that people want, they have to come to us to get, and that they can't wait for us to produce the next one. So people are actually chasing us in terms of what it is we're producing, as opposed to us chasing the money. We talked about that last time. And that unique space in the marketplace, we're going to be talking about that. Of course, we have talked about USP before, but we're really going to dive into it during the call, and we're actually going to help you to build out your USP, right? Because whether or not you have a USP for your business or a USP for each individual product, you and I need to have something. Again, the more unique is what we have, the more that people will actually, when they find out about it, they'll be quick to buy it, because they can't get that thing anyplace else. How many of us have books on the same subject, right? We have several books. There's probably one topic in your life where you have several of the same kind of book in the same subject. And it really is because one book provides you one particular way of looking at it that you can't get in another book. Or it could be a particular kind of information that you get, right? Could be a newspaper. Whatever it is that you're getting, you get different kinds of the same brand, or different brands of the same kind, because they provide you something that you can't get from someplace else, and you and I have to do the same thing in our information marketing business. Some people call this our USP, and that's what we're going to be talking about, which is your unique selling proposition. And as I said, the reason we want to have one in everything we do is so that we don't become a commodity. We don't want to become just like everybody else, or something that everybody else can get. If we become the same thing that everybody else can get, there's only one basis that we can compete, and that's going to be on price, right? So if the only basis we're going to be able to compete in price, then that means that the only way we're going to make money is to lower our price and cut into our profit. And that is not where you want to be, as whether or not you're an information marketer or not. You don't want to be there as a business owner. If you are a service provider, you don't want to be competing all on the basis of price, because the only thing that you can do to actually get people to act is lower your prices. Well, then that means you got to work harder as a service provider, and that is not what you want to do. So at some point, you and I have to figure out what it is the market is looking for, and then we have to develop our own USP. And again, it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, nor is it something that's kind of a throwaway thing. It's not a tagline. It's not a slogan. What it is it's something. It's how we do business. Right now, just because we can state it that way, we call it, we use it as something that we use to market ourselves. Right? We say it is our unique selling proposition, but it really is more about what we're doing and the way we're doing business than it is about what we say about what we do. Right? If you can do it, then saying it becomes easy. Right? It's not just what we say about ourselves. It's our way of doing business that's different, that matters to people. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about tonight. So what assumptions, right? One of the things we want to think about, what's partially true about internet marketing. And I really want to kind of go into this a little bit, because I think it's pretty important, and you'll see why when we get here to the end of the call. What's really only partially true that you've heard, that we all hear about internet marketing. First is that you can get an information product, or you can get a coaching program, or you can get something, and it is a step-by-step system to sustain profits. Right? That's partially true. It's rarely ever fully true. How many of you have already had the experience where whether or not you pay a lot or a little for something, you go through the steps and you get through those steps, right? You follow all of the steps, right? So for example, some of us have put up a blog, right? Some of us go ahead and we do product creation. Some of us go ahead and we set up our advertising campaign. Some of us go ahead and create the video, right? So we follow through all the steps, and then what happens is things just do not automatically happen. They just don't. Just because we follow this assumption, right? It's an old assumption, right? The old assumption is that if we do this, then these other things will happen. Right? And we come to internet marketing with those expectations. In fact, we buy information products sometimes, we buy methods, we buy things because it is our expectation that if we follow these steps, these other things are going to happen. And it's only partially true, right? It's only partially true. And so the question then becomes, what is the variable, right? What is it that causes this assumption not to always be true? What is it that we can bring to the table so that we either make it true, or that if we don't bring it to the table, it's not true, right? What is that? And so one of the things that we want to think about is the variable is us and the resources we have, right? And it really is us and the resources we have uniquely to us. Right? We are more than our social media following. I know that in today's day and age, you want to feel like that if you've got to have a gazillion fans or lots of Twitter following, but we are really more than that, especially if we're trying to do business. You are more than that, and hopefully by the end of this call, you'll begin to see that. Right? Some of us have had in our past things that we have done. We have a special level of expertise. We have stuff that we've done in the past, and whether or not you're still on the job, or whether or not you're off the job, or you are between jobs, you've had stuff you've done, and you have that level of expertise. You have that experience. You have something that you've done, and you have something that you know as a result of that nobody else has, or very few people have. Right? And so when you begin to see some of those things that you have that other people do not have, then you are going to begin to harness the resources that you have. Again, the only if you begin to think outside of the boundaries of your social media following, if you begin to think outside of the boundaries of what it is you have on YouTube, or whether or not you know HTML, or whether or not you know how to do certain things that are online, you still have things that you can bring to the table that will allow you to profit as an information marketer. Right? You have jobs and expertise. Some of us have formal and informal education experiences. Right? Do not assume that because you have not seen the benefit of what it is that you do educationally, or what is your background, or what your degree is in. Don't assume that because you haven't seen that, that degree is not going to be valuable in what you do. It will be, it just may not be as obvious. You have resources available to you. A lot of us have family available to us, right? Some of us have family members who know how to do things. Some of us have family members with extra time. Some of us have family members that have access to other people. Some of us have family members who have connections, right? And so you and I have to begin to look at, and at minimum start to do an inventory of what it is that we have. And what's going to happen is you are going to start to see alternatives to when you hit a roadblock. Right, you hit a roadblock and you think, boy, I can't, there's no way to get past this because all these other guys have this, but I don't have this. What happens is when you begin to look at your own resources, you begin to look at your own inventory, you have places that you can go to get things, you have places where you can go to ask for things that other people don't have. They're unique to you, right? We have social groups. Right? Some of us have social groups online. Some of us, if you've graduated from some place, you have an alumni society. Right? Some of us go to church and social groups. We all have stuff and people that we can draw from. And what happens is we begin to isolate everything we do online to everything that we see online. And really and truly, everything that you bring to the table, from who you are to the online space, is really what makes your USP. Not only does it make your USP, but it also gives you access to resources that other people do not have, and it really helps you to make up what it is that you're going to bring to the marketplace and make you unique. We all have local resources. There's stuff I have here in Central PA you don't have. Right? There's stuff in your local area that I cannot get access to. There are certain things that you have. Again, when you begin to start looking outside of what you see online, when you begin to see the resources that you already have available to you, you have friends and associates, right? And you say, well, they don't even like internet marketing. Well, who cares whether they like internet marketing? Sometimes, how many of you have ever thought about this, right? How many of you ever thought about this? Some of you all who already know doctors, some of you all who already know specialists, some of you all who already know expertise and people who are experts in sports, you have the basis of an information product right there. Well, you say, well, I don't know them. I don't have the knowledge. Well, who cares whether you have the knowledge? What you're going to do is you're going to crack open their brain and you're going to use their knowledge to create an information product. You're going to split the profits. See, you have access to people that I do not have access to, that you can bring value to the marketplace that I cannot bring. And when you begin to see that, what's going to happen is you are going to then start to look in a different way when you hit a roadblock. When you come and you see, well, I'd really like to create an information product like that, but I don't have those resources. I don't know how to do that. But I bet you have somebody in your network who does know how to do it or can put their hands on something that'll help you to do it. Right? What happens is you have to begin to explore the resources outside of what you see. And the question is going to be, what can we bring to our USP? Right? What can we bring to the marketplace that make us unique? What can we bring as we start a branding challenge? What is it that we can bring? And sometimes, right? Sometimes we bring the stuff that we are without even knowing it. Right? Sometimes we bring it without even knowing it. I'll tell you a little story about Laurel and I, if you haven't heard it already. We were in a graduate school. And we were in graduate school for instructional technology, and we got introduced to Camtasia in 2004. And so by the time internet marketing came, I'd already been using Camtasia for 5 years. Right? So I don't even know if I'd call myself an expert, but the fact of the matter is, when I sit down with Camtasia, I'm not looking at it the same way as somebody else who's looking at it for the first time, or even somebody who's using it one time, using it for the first time. I just am not. And so, you know what? I bring this to the table without even knowing it. Right? My experience with Camtasia, I bring it to the table without even knowing it. The other thing is, Laurel and I we're teaching online back in 2004, teaching adults. Right? And so when I sit down and I actually have to teach people, right? This stuff does not come does not come hard to me, not because I'm fantastic or super wonderful. It's because I have experience that I've been getting it since 2004. Now, here's the thing. You also have things you can bring to the table. You also have things that you've been doing for a long time that you and I don't know. And so what you have to do is you've got to begin to start to look at some of those things to bring to the table, as opposed to as opposed to wondering about how you're going to get the stuff that other people do not have, right? So sometimes we don't do it without knowing it. So for example, some of us have people in our social group, we wouldn't even dream of going to them to ask them to help us to create an information product, because we just wouldn't do it. So we don't do it, right? We don't do it, and we don't know we don't do it. And so the question is going to be whether or not we're going to be willing to help grab somebody who has a level of expertise and bring that information to the marketplace. They don't have to know how to create an information product. You know how to create one. They don't have to know how to create a Kindle book. You know how to create one. They don't have to know how to create a podcast. You know how to create one. So the question is going to be, who in your social group already wants to do something, has the expertise, but then they just can't get it going? That's what you're there for. So again, you bring things to your USP because you have people that are unique, right? You have people I do not know. You have people in your circle that probably, if you bring their expertise to the marketplace is going to explode. Yeah, you're going to have to split the profits, but who cares, right? But who cares, right? Who's in your social group? Who's in your local area? There are people who want to know this stuff. I can tell you from experience. There are people who want to be able to do and know what you know. They just need somebody to show them how to do it, right? You can bring those people to your USP. Listen, the people that are here in Central PA, they're unique to me. You don't need to bring them because you have people in your local area that are unique to you. So there's sometimes we don't do it and we don't know it. Sometimes we don't do it even though we know we have it. Right? So in other words, there are people and there's stuff that we know we can do, but we still don't do it for whatever the reason. Sometimes it's because, we just don't want anybody to know what we're doing, or we don't want anybody to know what we're doing until we're succeeding, right? But we know we have resources already. We just don't want to go and use those resources because we already want to go to people when we're already a success, right? But I'm going to tell you that, as I have said before on many of my calls, success is like a hockey stick, right? You have this long period where you're kind of trucking along and nothing's happening and nothing's at the bottom, and all of a sudden you see somebody and they shoot up at the end, right? Like a hockey stick. If you lay a hockey stick end to end, what you'll see is you lay it flat and things are just going flat for a long time. They just go flat, they 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 go flat. Then all of a sudden, where the blade is, right, the stick goes up, and that's what happens in internet marketing. You see somebody kind of shoot up there, and what happens is we didn't see the flat part, right? That person was going flat for a long time. They sort of kept at it, and then they shot up. So in other words, you and I are not going to be able to just kind of appear as an overnight success. So if you have resources and you can get your hands on them and you can bring them to the marketplace, you need to bring them, right? That's what makes you unique. The best of all worlds is when we find our existing resources and we put them in our USP, right? There are things you could bring to the table I could never bring in a million years. And so all those things make you part of what you bring to the marketplace. Do you have something? I mean, do you have an area of expertise that I do not have? Listen. You and I trying to do CPA marketing and affiliate marketing, all this other stuff. When we already have an area of expertise, I'm going to tell you, you want to at minimum explore what you have already, right? At minimum, you need to be exploring that. Now, little things in the USP matter to certain people. I don't know if you've never read the book, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. I'm going to suggest you do it. Malcolm Gladwell talks about this in the book, where there are these little things that little adjustments that people make that nobody really sees them in the background, but that they make the huge difference to things going viral. They make a huge difference to things sticking in the marketplace. They make a huge difference in terms of the things that people decide, okay, yes, I like this. And he goes through story after story after story. Sesame Street, Blue's Clues, Hush Puppies, story after story about how little adjustments, little things cause things to what he calls tip. right? You can cause something to tip in the marketplace, basically by bringing something that nobody else has that everybody wants. And on top of it, you can make it stick. So again, understanding that, and once again, if you haven't read that book by Malcolm Gladwell, I'm going to suggest you get it. I mean, it's on Audible. It's at your library. I mean, I pick it up, and even if you don't have time to read the whole thing, just flip through it. I promise you it'll be worth your time. Now, you know, a USP can be enough to attract your true fans, even if you produce something that's seemingly common, right? It might look and see, this is the thing, right? If this is the thing, people are going to look at your product and you're going to look at your service or from the outside. Maybe your competition is looking at it. It's going to look like everybody else's, but when somebody gets it, it's going to attract the true fans, right? You can produce something that looks like it's common, but when you add your USP, that's when you actually get people to stick, right? See, the key to understanding 1,000 true fans is we get them one at a time. And when we get them, we hold on to them, right? How is it that we get a fan to stick? How is it that we get someone that when we produce something that they're ready to buy it? How do we get that person, right? Again, remember, if you have 1,000 true fans, how much do they have to spend with you? Do you remember the math? How much do they have to spend with you? They really only have to spend with you $100 every single year. That really amounts to $9 a month. If somebody spends with you $9 a month, right, every month, and you have 1,000 of those people, that's going to bring you to $108,000 a year. And what that's going to do is that's going to make you into someone who can then, you have the leverage to start doing some of the stuff in internet marketing you want to do. Right? You will then start attending conferences. You will start to do JVs with people that maybe you didn't feel like you were in their same league. But when you start to put things in that perspective, you're going to be able to buy your way into certain situations. And you might say, well, no, you shouldn't have to do that, Charles. It's not what it's about. You shouldn't have to buy your way in. I'm sorry, to some degree, it's just true. You and I will have to be able to do that. But again, it's not hard. Part of what we've got to do is we've got to get our sustainable income right to that level. And one of the ways you do that is you get your 1,000 true fans who spend $100 a month with you. I'm sorry, $100 a year, right? Folks, listen, if you focus, right, again, remember the hockey stick example, if you focus on getting 1,000 people to spend $9 a month with you, you can do that. You and I can do that. You can do that. That is attainable. And so part of this it's just so easy to do in information marketing, right? It's so easy to bring this USP. What you and I have to do really and truly is we've got to we've got to just test connections, right? What is it that we have that we can test the connection? How can we test out what it is we have uniquely that marketplace wants? We just need to test stuff. And the only way you test stuff is you just keep putting stuff out there. Just keep putting stuff out there. You keep putting stuff out there. You make the connection because you know what? They say if you throw enough rice on the wall, some of it's going to stick, right? You just keep throwing rice on the wall. Some of it's going to stick. You make the connection between what you have and what the customer wants uniquely. What do people really want? You got to find that out. What do they really want? What do you have available, right, that you can use to solve it? Do you have contacts? Right? Do you have contacts that can help you to bring something to the marketplace that will help you to be able to solve it? Do you have relationships? Do you have time on your hands where you can investigate something, or you have time that you can invest in somebody? Right? Do you have time? Right? There are 10,000 ways for you to be able to get what you need in order to bring this to the marketplace. And then, listen, it's really easy. How can I get the PLR to help me leverage my time? PLR is really cheap. One of the reasons why you as a marketer can buy it at wholesale is because then you can then take that at wholesale and then you can really connect it and change it into something that's uniquely yours, right? And what you and I really have to be doing all the time is creating something that can only be purchased from us. Right? Something that can only be purchased from us. Remember, you hear it from me all the time, and I mean it. Right? PLR is raw material. Right? It makes it easy for you to create something unique. It's raw material. What you have to do is add something unique, something that, because again, how many of you all bought something sometimes just for the bonuses? Right? So sometimes if you just by adding a unique bonus, you're going to get something, you're going to be providing something to the marketplace that some people want, they can't get anyplace else. right? So again, we have to be able to use PLR to our benefit. And one of the ways we do that is to make things that are unique. And then what we've got to do every single day, we got to do this every single day. We've got to connect to the people that want more and more of it. That's finding the fans. That's what we're doing. That's what we're talking about. We're getting into the marketplace and we're connecting to the people who want more and more of what we can uniquely offer. Right? And again, we don't have to have a list of a gazillion people. We want the list. Again, now, the only reason you want a gazillion people is so you can, like I said yesterday, right, kiss the frog so you can get the prince or the princess. And so you keep kissing these frogs and keep kissing frogs, and then you find the prince. And then you keep kissing a few more frogs, and you find the prince. You keep kissing a few more frogs, and then you find the prince. And what happens is, eventually, you have 1,000 prince and princesses. Right, that's your 1,000 true fans, and there are always going to be people on the periphery who are going to buy from you. They're going to buy from you because, well, they might, see something about you that they like, but they maybe they don't like it that much. But your fans, right? They're going to be waiting for the stuff you put out, and that's where you want to be. You want to be that kind of person as a creative person. Again, think about the math: 1,000 people, right, paying you $100 every year, right? $9 a month. You can do that. Right? That's doable. Now, if all you're doing is just building list buildings, you can have 10,000 bazillion people on my list and just sell affiliate products. That's cool. But ultimately, what you and I want is we're trying to work through that list, right? So if people unsubscribe, fine, right? That's fine. Because they were never going to be your fan anyway. They're never going to be the person who is going to buy from you that $9 every single month. They were not going to be that person, so don't care if you unsubscribe. So when you're writing your emails, you should be trying things. If you are at the point where your opt-ins aren't necessarily doing what you need, I suggest you get on camera and then you talk to people just the way you talk to them. Right? Because you want people resonating with you. You want people resonating with the best person you are. Again, I love writing copy. I study copywriting, but copywriting is only a way of expressing who you are. It is not a way of your being able to plug and play some words into a sales page, and those words are just going to work. Right? Yes, there are psychological triggers like scarcity and guarantees and takeaways and all that stuff. But copywriting has to ultimately express the value you have, that you bring to the marketplace, the value that you uniquely bring to the marketplace, the value and social proof you bring. Right? If you and I can continue to bring value and social proof, then basically the copy begins to write itself. Right? And so some of the things you're going to be bringing and you're going to be adding to your copy, again, make up your USP. If you've done something that's relevant to what you're selling, you need to say it. Right? You need to say it. It's part of your USP. And so as we close out tonight, I just really want to kind of get this is a kind of an extra session. Right? And all we're really talking about here tonight is what do you talk about before you start thinking about your USP? And one of the things that I did want to do, and I didn't want to take up a 30-day challenge night for this, but I did want to talk about this, is how do we make up that USP? Well, one of the ways we make up that USP is we got to figure out what we have. Right? And one of the ways you figure out what you have is you got to get into determining what you have in your inventory that you can offer. Okay, so we are about at 29 minutes, right? We're at 29 minutes and 41 seconds and counting. So if there aren't any questions, that's really going to be it for tonight, folks. I'm determined to get you out of here in 30 minutes every night or less, right? Or less. So if this has been helpful for you, please reach out to me and just let me know that you found this helpful to me. I'd really, really, really appreciate it if you did that. Also, let me give you a web address. It's gainmindshare.com/testimonials. And if you found this helpful, please go to that site. Just put in something there that said, hey, you know what? I really like this and it was helpful to me. Okay, so with that, everybody, thank you very much. I appreciate y'all being here on Labor Day. And I will see you once the 30-day challenge starts. And with that, thank you very much. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.